Rarely have we seen a takedown of a league commissioner as calmly or efficiently delivered. The fact that it came from Napisa Collier, one of the league's best players and most respected voices, only amplified its...
All right, this is crazy. Just now, Scott Van Pelt educated the WNBA Commissioner. Furthermore, it wasn't even close. Fans everywhere are ecstatic after SVP Cooley and surgically shredded Kathy Angelbert's leadership, or let's face it, the conspicuous lack of it, on ESPN. You can tell it matters when one of the most reputable voices in athletics gives a takedown like that. I would like to know if you think Kathy Angelbert should finally leave.
Response from WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert came in the form of a statement, which is itself a statement, but not one Engelbert should aspire to make. When a star player says directly, "We have the worst leadership in the world and you are the leader," your response that you're disheartened, that your perspectives differ, makes me wonder if you heard what Fee said. Because it's not differing perspectives.
This is crucial, so let's establish the scene. The WNBA has never been more prominent, isn't it? Thanks to the incredible buzz surrounding this year's wild season, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Booker's hype, the league ought to be flourishing. What is the headline that everyone is talking about though, rather than continuing that crazy momentum? Nor a spectacular finals battle, nor record ratings. The commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, is being torched by ESPN's Scott Van Pelt. And he did it in the quintessential Van Pelt fashion. Serene, surgical, and somewhat courteous, but fundamentally heartbreaking.
Collier said, "I've earned this platform," which she had, and said, "I don't care what the fine is," which, if I hear her correctly, is to say you have nothing to threaten me with. The chorus of voices of current stars in the WNBA, which echo Collier's sentiment, didn't have a single opposing voice.
Why, then, was the execution made public? Due to the fact that earlier this week, Nafessa Keir lit the fuse. In essence, she described the league's leadership as the worst in all of professional sports during her leaving interview. She didn't just criticize, she outright revealed a private exchange in which Angelbert supposedly stated that Caitlin Clark should be thankful for the WNBA, as she wouldn't be earning any money otherwise. I'm sorry, but what was Kathy Angelbert missing over the whole Iowa period? Did she fail to see Clark's nil empire, which exceeded the earnings of the majority of WNBA veterans in a season prior to her declaring for the draft? This is astounding.
As for what Engelbert is alleged to have said to Collier, if she actually suggested Caitlin Clark should be grateful for what she makes off the court, that's preposterous. Did you miss the Iowa years? Clark is the Tiger Woods tide that lifts all boats, and we know this show is proof. The highest rating we have ever had followed one of her games at Iowa. The WNBA has benefited from her presence more than the other way around, even though this year for Caitlin Clark was essentially low.
And SVP focused precisely on that. Even when he brought out something so clear, the commissioner seemed to overlook it. The WNBA is being lifted by Caitlin Clark, not the other way around. To be clear, the league gains far more from Clark than Clark gains from them, and Van Pelt failed to disclose the receipts. Caitlin Clark was directly linked to ESPN's highest collegiate women's basketball viewership. Clark attracted more attention than anyone else at the All-Star game. Definitely. Nevertheless, the commissioner is out here suggesting that Clark should bow down and express gratitude. People, that's not just tone deaf. It is blatantly irrational. SVP really sharpened the blade after that. He didn't shout. He refrained from ranting. With an almost eerie calm, he simply laid it out there.
Post from Elena Deladon on Instagram, who said, and I quote, "It's the care for the human part for me. I'm not sure Kathy knows I've retired. Heard from everyone but her." And I don't like to pile on, that's not my thing. But when a player is beloved, respected, and decorated as Deladon retires as a multiple MVP, league champion, 7-time All-Star, and member of the W25, which celebrated the top 25 players in the league's first 25 years, you throw that woman a parade. To fail even the most basic and decent things to do, which is to reach out to say thanks, which, by the way, couldn't be easier to do, is to...
The important thing is that he mentioned Elena Deladon. This player is among the best 25 in WNBA history, a league champion, and a multiple MVP. I take it she just retired? Are you aware of her words? That, with the exception of Kathy Angelberg, she heard from all of the players, coaches, and supporters. Go over that again. The commissioner is unable to even text when one of the most revered veterans in league history retires. That's not being a leader. That is blatantly careless. Scott Van Pelt described it as exactly what it is, a failure to carry out the most fundamentally appropriate work obligations. Speak up, express gratitude, and acknowledge your accomplishments. It shows the players that you genuinely care and has no expense. However, Kathy was unconcerned. When called out, she then makes a terse response about being discouraged and determined to work with others. Claims that the VP did a fantastic job. This isn't about having different viewpoints. This relates to the commissioner being specifically identified as the issue.
According to Sportico, franchise valuations have soared. Players want more money and the CBA expires at the end of this month. This was a whole lot more than just a shot across the bow. The WNBA Finals begin this Friday, and we typically hear from Adam Silver on the eve of the NBA Finals. Kathy Engelbert has got to do more than...
If you can believe it, this is the bit that makes it even worse. Not a single voice has joined the chorus in support of Engelbert. Not a coach, not a player, not even a random intern posting on Twitter on behalf of the league office. Nothing. Rather, we've witnessed a chorus of musicians repeating what Keir said. Lexi Hull supported her. As the most naive leader our league has ever seen, Sophie Cunningham blasted Engelbert mercilessly. Even Gino Arima, who rarely disagrees with anyone, stated that the WNBA's alleged aggressiveness is actually detracting from the game. You have a major issue when all of the coaches, from rookies to Hall of Famers, are saying the same thing. And here's the thing, Van Pelt clarified that this goes beyond noise. There's more to this than simply a fiery soundbite. This is taking place just before to the CBA talks. The players have obviously had enough of being underpaid, disregarded, and encouraged to be thankful since the collective bargaining agreement expired. It's not business as usual when one of your top stars declares the league's leadership to be the worst in the world and another reputable veteran says she's pleased of her for speaking up. That is a complete uprising. It's Scott Van Pelt. This wasn't just a shot across the bow, he remarked. Fix it or we'll blow it all up, was essentially what Keir was telling the league. It's not hyperbole, either. Now, the participants have leverage. Caitlin Clark is not your typical prospect. She is a walking thrift. She increases ticket sales, TV viewership, and sponsorships in ways the WNBA has never seen before. And Engelbert is either utterly out of touch or purposefully blind if she truly thinks the league is larger than the players who provide that revenue. Not to be overlooked is the officiating, which is still another crucial component. Van Pelt also didn't overlook the Caitlin Clark angle in this instance. He pointed out how ridiculous it is to claim that Clark's success is due to the WNBA. It's the opposite, as everyone knows. She brought that value with her, as seen by her nil deals, TV ratings, and Iowa ticket sales. Caitlin Clark was not created by the WNBA. Caitlin Clark gave the WNBA a lift. And it is not just stupid, but also self-destructive, to minimize it. Civ also brought attention to a subtle yet very potent point. Unity. Not a single athlete stood up to protect Engelberg. Rather, a growing number of voices joined in. From league veterans to Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull. Even coaches who have criticized the league's leadership and officiating, such as Becky Hampton and Cheryl Reeve, have been fined. It is a formula for disaster when the criticism is this pervasive and the answer is this feeble. Let's now discuss optics, as Van Pelt is aware of how important it is in sports. As players attack the commissioner, coaches discover, and celebrities label leadership the worst in sports, the story dominates headlines just before the finals, rather than the excitement surrounding the contest. That is creating resentment rather than excitement. CVP stated unequivocally that this degree of public dissatisfaction is impossible without top-level responsibility. This is the point at which Scott truly made his point. The league is at a flashpoint, he declared. The value of franchises is soaring. there is a possibility of expansion. The value of media rights might reach billions. This is thought to be the WNBA's heyday. Rather, the commissioner is being criticized. The players are upset. Additionally, supporters question whether they can even consider the league to be genuine. That can't be sustained. That's not being a leader. That is an inability to take advantage of momentum that ought to be historic. CVP put it in a brutally straightforward manner. "We have the worst leadership in the world," he remarked, quoting a player such as Nafisa Collier. "That isn't a viewpoint. That is a clear request for your employment." He's correct, too. That is impossible to spin. You are unable to hide. Either take measures to disprove them or step down. The unsettling reality that Van Pelt danced around is this. However, everyone is aware that Adam Silver is observing. The WNBA receives funding from the NBA. The NBA provides financial support for it. Silver has a strong stake in preventing the WNBA from interfering. How long before Silver intervenes and takes action if ESPN figures like Scott Van Pelt and Stephen A. Smith are publicly doubting the commissioner's future? The dots are being connected by fans. It's awful officiating. Players don't hear from the commissioner. The injuries are mounting. Stars are retiring with no recognition. Players who tell the truth face fines. And now that Angelbert chooses to downplay her worth, Caitlin Clark, the Golden Goo, is being brought into the fray. The league seems to be stumbling over its own feet just when it ought to be accelerating. SVP did more than only analyze. It was a warning from him. You could lose all you've worked so hard to build. To be honest, he's correct. Why should fans think the WNBA is serious about expansion if it can't protect players from poor refereeing, maintain the health of its stars, or even honor its legends? Van Pelt's takedown struck such a chord because of this. He refrained from ranting. He didn't yell. He didn't focus on himself. The facts, which he presented calmly, were devastating. Collier's remarks, Deladun's retirement, Clark's indisputable worth, the crisis that was officiated, and the leadership's stony silence. When taken as a whole, it depicts a league being undermined by its own commissioner. And that was confirmed by the online response. Supporters were nodding in agreement. Kier's remarks were being retweeted by players. "Wow, this is a mess," said even casual watchers who don't often follow the WNBA. And a news release expressing disappointment won't cut it when your reputation is that ruined. Scott Van Pelt just spoke the truth, and it stunk, without screaming or venting. The WNBA faces a leadership crisis, according to players, fans, and ESPN's most prominent commentators. Ignorance is impossible. What comes next? Does Adam Silver oust Kathy Angelbert, or does she resign? Please leave a comment below, and remember to like and subscribe. This is crucial, so let's establish the scene. The WNBA has never been more prominent, isn't it? Thanks to the incredible buzz surrounding this year's wild season, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Booker's hype. The league ought to be flourishing. What is the headline that everyone is talking about though, rather than continuing that crazy momentum? Nor a spectacular finals battle, nor record ratings. The commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, is being torched by ESPN's Scott Van Pelt. And he did it in the quintessential Van Pelt fashion. Serene, surgical, and somewhat courteous, but fundamentally heartbreaking. Why, then, was the execution made public? Due to the fact that earlier this week, Nafisa Kier lit the fuse. In essence, she described the league's leadership as the worst in all of professional sports during her leaving interview. She didn't just criticize, she outright revealed a private exchange in which Angelbert supposedly stated that Caitlin Clark should be thankful for the WNBA, as she wouldn't be earning any money otherwise. I'm sorry, but what was Kathy Angelbert missing over the whole Iowa period? Did she fail to see Clark's nil empire, which exceeded the earnings of the majority of WNBA veterans in a season prior to her declaring for the draft? This is astounding.